At the age of 18, she left her home in Europe to join the Sisters of Loreto, a group of Irish nuns, to serve in the Indian city of Calcutta. Mother Teresa was literally the face of kindness and love and hope everywhere. In fact, in 1979, she won the Nobel Peace Prize for her humanitarian work. However, with all her kindness, with all her accomplishments, with all her recognition, there is a lesser known fact about Mother Teresa that is worth exploring. This information was revealed through her private letters, which were published after her death. However, despite all her accolades and being the face of kindness and service to the poor, in her private letters, which were released after her death, there is a lot of revelation that shows a different side of Mother Teresa, which we can explore today. A feeling of abandonment, a lack of faith, a desolation. Now, these private letters were supposed to be private. In fact, they were addressed to her confessors and also to her spiritual advisors or spiritual directors. However, after her death, Father Brian Kolidechak decided to compile them in a book he named as Mother Teresa Can Be My Light. This is the period where Mother Teresa describes as the dark night of the soul, her dark night of the soul. Now, this is not a new idea. We've had other spiritual figures in the past describe the dark night of the soul. Now, the phrase dark night of the soul is derived from a poem of the 16th century, which is a Spanish poem in the 16th century, written by the Carmelite priest, Saint John of the Cross. So he wrote and expressed the feelings that the soul goes through, or the phase the soul goes through when there is no presence of God. This is the whole idea behind that poem. So those thoughts on the soul being in a dark place were inspired by that poem in the 16th century by Saint John of the Cross. So when it comes to Mother Teresa, she describes going through one of the hardest periods of her life, which surprisingly lasted for 50 good years. So what was she going through during this period she describes as the dark night of the soul? Mother Teresa describes feeling or experiencing profound spiritual darkness or a sense of separation from God. This internal struggle was a sharp contrast with her public image of unwavering faith. This she describes as a feeling of abandonment by God. She felt very abandoned. She was confused of why God was not making himself known or present to her. She couldn't feel God. Yet she continued her work with utmost dedication. It just shows or reveals the human side of her faith. Even the saints waver when it comes to faith. However, this dark night of the soul was a prolonged period in the life of Mother Teresa, which lasted nearly 50 years. In the private letters of Mother Teresa that depict the dark night of her soul, there is an excerpt which reveals a lot of what she was feeling through that period. And it says, let's quote, "There is so much contradiction in my soul, such deep longing for God, so deep that it is painful, a suffering continue, and yet not wanted by God, repulsed, empty, no faith, no zeal. Souls hold no attraction to me. Heaven means nothing. To me, it looks like an empty place, just like," and the letters continue. So you can see here, this is a very gloomy picture for the person who was literally awarded a humanitarian Nobel Peace Prize, a person who was the face of kindness and hope and still is. It reveals that there was a side, another different side, where they also grappled with their faith. And this is not uncommon, even as Christians. There are times where we feel that God is missing, and indeed we cannot feel him in any way. You feel like he's not directing your steps, he's not ordering your steps. However, you feel like you've done your best to have faith. You've given it everything. You've given it all the effort to draw closer to him. However, you don't feel him. So this is the description of this phase. Now, the explanation given by theologians mainly is that the dark night of the soul is a period of spiritual purification and growth, where the soul is stripped of its reliance on sensory experiences of God. Again, this is a spiritual phase of purification and growth, where the soul is stripped from its reliance on sensory experiences of God. And the general explanation is also that Mother Teresa, through her continued service, is the true expression of faith. How many people are willing to serve even when they don't feel the presence of God? How many people are willing to serve even when they don't sense or feel the presence of God? So this is evidence that she was basing her service on actual faith, not feelings. It is also a sign of her humanity. She was also a human being. And even all human beings will doubt at some point in their lives. This phase of spiritual dryness or doubt, many saints and many people in the Bible faced it. Remember, even Jesus himself, at some point, when he told the Father to remove the cup from him, if possible, it was a moment of, are you sure, God, this is what I'm supposed to do? It was a moment of, if it's possible, I change my mind, I will not be doing this. However, he was mature enough to say that it is not his will, but God's will be done. Now, what is common with all these saints who go through this dark night of the soul is that they don't lose their faith. At the end of it all, they come out on the other side stronger people in the faith. And this doesn't happen to saints only. It happens to every Christian, every believer. It can happen at any point in your life. Where you are a pastor, you are a servant of God, you are a deacon, you are an usher, yet you know deep in your heart that you don't feel the presence of God. You feel like you are just acting. You don't feel his power, you don't have faith, you don't have anything. But your body just keeps serving. Now, this is encouraging that Mother Teresa, who was the face of kindness and hope to the world, she also went through this challenge. This is not a unique challenge. And I think the lesson from all this is that whether you feel the presence of God or not, it is good to continue serving him, to continue doing what he has called you to do, to continue doing the right thing. And we all know the right thing. As long as you're in Christ, you know the right thing. It is good not to falter or to waver. Even as you doubt, it is good to bring yourself back and have that faith. Remember, faith without works is dead. You can't say that you have faith and you're not acting like a faithful. You need to have those actions. And with those actions, eventually, you will develop the fruit of the Spirit. So this is a very good lesson from Mother Teresa, showing that she was just human. And many people go through this. Our faith cannot be dictated by our feelings and what we feel and what we think. Faith is much deeper than that. In fact, there was a theologian who said that what Mother Teresa was yearning for is something that is higher, that is not available in this world. It was a higher level of connection with God that is just not available in the earth realm. So it is possible to seek God to a point where you feel like you want to go higher, yet in this earthly realm, it's not possible. So let us be encouraged today in this devotional. And thank you for watching this video. My name is Emma Mary Wanjiko. We'll see each other on the next devotional. And my desire and my prayer for you is that you may be whole and well.